Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Sexy Back Blueprint. Today I'm joined by another amazing guest, someone that I've was really excited to get on this podcast and really pleased they agreed to come on today. So let me introduce you to Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I think one thing we said in the when we were messaging about this was we wanted to talk about sort of how we actually came across each other. And it was a bit of a random story. We were just chatting it before we started recording this podcast. And I think it was back in we sort of worked back maybe 2011, and it was a bit of a strange one. I used to go to Starbucks every morning with a colleague where we used to study. I used to study to become a personal trainer. He was studying to be a teacher, and Steph actually worked in Starbucks at the same time. So it's very random.
Still addicted to coffee.
Yes, as you're sitting there drinking a coffee now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you sort of training to be a personal trainer as well at the same sort of time, weren't you?
No, I wasn't even.
Oh, you weren't?
No, I can't even. That time just feels like it didn't happen, but I was a coffee master in Starbucks working like 12-hour shifts every day, because I remember you coming in and working at near the big window at the back with all your books out. But yeah, how weird that it's come about that you were training to be a PT and then we kind of went separate ways when Starbucks closed down, and then I'm a PT, and then we've just like sort of.
So I think you started. Then did you go to a gym near there, somewhere in the business park around the corner or something, weren't you?
I don't think I was at that time.
Or after when you were qualified as a PT, wasn't you and your sister? I can't remember the name of the gym.
I think it might be when I went and worked in Virgin Active, maybe.
Oh, okay. Could have been that one. Could have been.
Epsom. So I was kind of, my sister was a PT, so I had that sort of influence around me. And then I was working in gyms after that, but it wasn't as a PT. It was like in sales, which I've no idea why I did that. I'm the worst person to do sales. And like on reception and like showing people around. And then, I was like, why am I not doing like actually in the gym and training people? Because I'm showing people around and I'm like giving them advice on training. So just really weird that we've sort of come together like back around in a different industry.
And here we are recording a podcast, girl. So it's a nice random story, but we've when did you actually get into fitness and the personal training side of it?
I think it must be about 8 years ago, so it must just be a couple of years after you did.
So it must be what, 2015, somewhere around then.
Because I started competing in, it was like 2013 and 14, and then I was like, I want to do this like full time. But I was so naive. I thought it was like you just get paid to do competitions, get paid to go to the gym all the time. So that was a big awakening.
Fair enough. And you sort of and some of the people you work with, what are some of the clients that you work with now? What sort of people come to you for training advice?
So it tends to be more women, sort of women that are stuck yo-yo dieting. But I do actually train some men as well. So I have my own coaching business, which is like all inclusive. Anyone from all walks of the world can train with me. And me and my sister have a more women only sort of coaching business as well. But then even saying that, we're still happy to, if anyone who's a man would like to be called a fit sister, we're very happy to do that as well. But it's more yo-yo dieting. I think it's because of this kind of stuff that I put on my social media. I tend to attract people who are just kind of looking to stop the extreme dieting and sort of do it long term.
That's something I think a lot of people come across is the restrictive dieting, sort of trying to find a better way around it to almost sort of enjoy the foods they love, as opposed to sort of being so restrictive and just sort of I always use the analogy of just sort of blending up celery every day. No one wants to be doing that every day. They actually want food's there to be enjoyed. So we want to enjoy it. So is that one of the main things that people come to you for, is sort of the food aspect and then dieting?
Yeah, I would say though that you might find this as well. When people come to you, I feel like they come to you and think it's for a certain reason, but then as you sort of dig deeper with people, it can be something totally different that kind of needs working on as well. I would say like finding balance always comes up. Like everything that I talk to, even stuff that's not to do with fitness, but it always seems to come down to finding that balance. Because I guess with like people that are yo-yo dieting, or just a lot of people, you see all of the, like carnivore diet, keto, it's always something that's like this end of the spectrum or this end. So it's trying to get people to come into the middle and find their own balance. So I do feel like, yeah, that sort of helping them dig through all of the things that they've learned that might be quite unhelpful to them on their journey, whatever that might be. Yeah, just finding that balance for
Yeah.
people. And I
Yeah,
think, no, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say no. Exactly what you said there. It's finding that balance that can almost fit into their lifestyle, without going from one extreme to the other. And a lot of the diets, one of the ones you mentioned there, the carnivore diet or a keto diet, all of those, they remove certain food groups, but the end result is you end up being in a calorie deficit. So it's sort of, you can still do that by eating chocolate and drinking wine. You can still do that in a positive way
Yeah.
and a consistent way as well, without having to almost go from the extremes of cutting out entire food groups of food that you actually enjoy as well.
Yeah. And another thing I think people can kind of get slightly obsessed with the things that the positive things as well. So things like I must hit 10k steps every day. If I don't, then I'm not going to progress. Or they might have that sort of perfectionist like mindset, and I even struggle with this myself. That sort of mindset of, oh well, if I'm not going to even be able to do 5,000 steps today, then kind of what's the point doing any? So I think it's sort of educating people with, if you do 5,000 steps, if you do 2,000 steps, that's still, if we look at health, that's going to reduce the risk of many health risks, even if you do 2,000. Because if you sit at home and do zero, then doing just 2,000 is going to be better than doing nothing. And it's that balance of no steps, 10,000, or if I can do 2,000, then that's still really good as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, just making the small steps and sort of creating those small goals along the way, without sort of going, yeah, day one, here's a 10,000 steps, you have to do this on a daily basis. Whereas like some people, like myself, with kids, we sort of go out, we go for a walk at the weekend, we could do 15,000 steps on a random Saturday, but then the Sunday we could end up not moving off the sofa and sitting and watching films all day. But actually, as an average over the 2 days, we've done sort of 7.5, maybe 8,000 steps over an average of 2 days. So by the time we averaged it out, it's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it every single day. That's what, yeah, one of the things I coach my clients with is almost sort of, don't worry if you don't do it for a day, then maybe the next day, I don't know, if you're working in London, for example, especially people that sort of go into an office, you end up walking a little bit more, and all of a sudden your steps are going to be a lot higher the following day. But then when you're working from home, it's obviously harder to get out. Obviously, weather today, it's quite nice to actually go out and go for a walk, but that's today in UK in January. That's very rare. Usually it's pouring with rain and nobody wants to leave the house.
Yeah, I think you just mentioned something important as well. It's I think important that we as coaches also give people realistic targets. So like you said, if people have kids, work jobs, how hard is it to get like maybe even 8,000 steps, or sometimes 5,000 steps if you've got kids and you work for 8 hours in an office? It's really difficult to do that. And I think it's our job to sort of give our clients, you know, realistic goals and targets. Otherwise, we're kind of setting them up for that mindset of, we must do this extreme 10K, otherwise we're not going to hit our goal. So the client obviously has to put in the work, but we have to make sure that it's like realistic for them, the plans that we're giving them.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's personal to everyone. Everyone's completely different. Everyone has their own different goals. Exactly what you said there. You can have a bloke and become a fit sister, and also you just train like women that yo-yo diet, but they're going to have very different goals. Some are going to just sort of want to just for fat loss. Very rarely do people almost sort of come out and say, no, I want to look like a men's health, women's health cover model. They don't seem to exist anymore. They just sort of want to be fitter, stronger, and healthier. And something you said at the beginning, once you start digging deeper into actually their goals, actually it's not just the weight loss or to tone up whatever it is. That's not actually their main goal. It goes a lot deeper. Something as simple as, I don't know, I don't want to get out of breath walking up and down the stairs every time. It's once you dig a bit deeper and you sort of find out the real goal, that's where you can really get that's where you really find out a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also making sure that what you're giving people, I don't give all of my clients gym plans, because I don't think not everyone loves it. People must think that as a personal trainer, I absolutely live for the gym, love it. You know, I do struggle myself trying to, that moment of just like getting to the gym. I have a home studio, and I find that harder to get to than driving to a gym. But yeah, I think not everyone has to go to the gym. We have to find out what people enjoy. If that's, some people, I have a client that does like outdoor swimming, and has weights at home, because obviously weight training is very beneficial. But again, finding out what people enjoy, what are they going to do long term. If they absolutely hate going to the gym, then it's just not realistic to give that client a 5-day resistance training plan and 10K steps every day.
Yeah. And
So
fitness is, sorry, go on.
With the balance thing, it's not only just us finding out their balance, it's like coming together as a team and us finding that balance as well. So we're kind of both trying to come, to the middle.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head there. I think finding that balance and almost what they enjoy, because if you enjoy something, you're gonna look forward to doing it, and you're gonna want to do it more. Whether that is going out for runs every day, or playing, going swimming, or going to the gym, whatever it might be. If you enjoy it, you're going to do it more. In which case, as you sort of said, you don't want to then sort of say, right, well, if someone sort of comes to you and I don't like going to the gym, okay, perfect. Here's a 5-day gym plan that now you need to go and do. They're not going to do it. They end up going to go and sort of say, well, I enjoy running. So they're going to end up carry on doing the running and ignoring the gym plans. Then it's going to get them down that they're not completing the workouts that you've set them. And it becomes a whole mental fight and battle of sort of trying to tick everything off and complete everything that we've almost set. But they're not actually enjoying what we've told them to do, and they just want to run, or they just want to swim or play squash, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
I do find that our industry can be quite anti-cardio as well. So I do feel like some PTs will try and sort of maybe stop clients from kind of doing them sort of things, like going for jogs or swimming. But it's just so important for them to do what they enjoy. And I do think that a lot of people don't really know what they enjoy as well, because they've been stuck in this, I must go to the gym, and not really sort of ventured out to find things that they enjoy. So I do quite like that aspect of trying to help a client find some sort of movement that they enjoy, because it can be hard in England. We can't really be outside all the time because it's freezing or it's raining. So that's quite a nice sort of problem solving, enjoyable part, I feel, of being a PT, of helping someone find what they do enjoy and something that they might be able to do long term, and hearing like that from them, that, oh my God, I thought I had to go to the gym 7 days a week and, have no days off and hashtag no pain, no gain, all of that, and like throw up and in the gym, train till you throw up and all of that. And when someone finds that balance with nutrition and movement and their progress, it's just so nice to hear people say like, wow, I didn't think I could do it like this, thought I had to be extreme.
Yeah, and that's exactly when people automatically think weight loss, they think, right, I need to get into running and I need to go to the gym. Well, actually, there's a lot more that you can do that you might enjoy doing. Exactly like you said, the swimming or playing a certain sport, football, squash, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be the running part. I mean, if that's what you want to enjoy and that's what you do, then you go out, put your trainers on, and pound the pavement. But yes, our industry does get that. Our industry does get that statement of. I think it goes back quite years ago where it was almost sort of like a PT was someone that used to stand there in army gear and a whistle and just shout abuse and exercise at people. And that's I mean, when I first started, that's what sort of people said. Are you one of these that just stands there and shouts with a whistle? And it was sort of like, no, we'll have a bit more interaction than just sort of me shouting random exercises at you. And it goes. I think it just stems back from years ago of something that PTs were just stereotyped as this shouty person that turned up and held abuse around.
And I think that's really hard as well for PTs because I'm quite an introverted PT. So when I started, I found it really difficult because I thought that's how you had to be. So I think I would exhaust myself trying to be this other person that I wasn't, and doing, the classes in the gym, and I'm like shouting at people and going, yes, come on. And I'm like, then I'd go in the toilet and be like, oh my God, I'm so tired, because that's not me. And it's nice when you figure out that you don't actually have to be like that. And not everyone wants a PT like that or needs that as well. So yeah, it's really funny.
I think it's changed a lot recently. I think especially since COVID, and more people wanting that sort of coaching online as opposed to sort of hand holding them through exercises in a gym or at home. That sort of bit more personalized coaching online, where you as you sort of said there, you coach them through to find something they actually enjoy, that you don't necessarily have to be sitting on the side of the pool watching them swim, and you don't have to be in a squash court watching them play squash or whatever. You can still coach them with their nutrition and daily habits and all things like that. But you don't have to be there and present all the time in doing the activities that they actually enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I was going on to another thing that clients struggle with, because I think it's very easy to fall into talking about fat loss quite a lot, because that tends to be what the majority of people, for me personally, come to me for or ask me questions about. But another thing that clients struggle with is a muscle building phase. It's the complete opposite of doing a fat loss phase. And for many people, it's just really difficult to sort of not see results as quick as you do with fat loss, or see the scales going up and clothes might fit a little bit tighter, and it takes just a much longer time with muscle building. So I don't know if you find this as well with clients. It can be difficult to get a client to like really stick to a long-term muscle building phase, because we kind of panic. And I'm the same. I still have, I think people think that when you're a PT, all of the things that you used to have mindset wise kind of just disappear, because you have the education, but you still have that there. It's just having that little chat with yourself. But I still struggle. I'm doing a muscle building phase at the minute, and I did a fat loss phase beforehand. So it's quite a big contrast from, oh my God, I feel like really good just in a fat loss phase, and then things kind of slow down, and then you're like, oh, I feel a little bit, my clothes just feel a little bit tighter. So it's getting clients to understand the process of a muscle building phase, and really wanting them to like stick to it for a long time so they can see the results. I find that's another thing people can struggle with on the other end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, because I think a lot of that is down to obviously the calorie consumption. Eating in when it comes to weight loss and fat loss is calorie deficit, which is hard enough to do to try and hit those individual macros to sort of make sure you're eating enough. But then when it goes to the other extreme, it's almost sort of putting on the muscle where you've got to eat in a calorie surplus. You then got to find even more calories. So it becomes even a completely different challenge of, well, I can cut all this out, but now I now need to find more food to eat and trying to find the right sort of food. So yeah, as you said, it's the complete opposite to the spectrum, and it becomes a completely different problem of almost sort of trying to find those extra calories and where to get those calories from. And it's same as fat loss, but very different in terms of it just takes time. Where I always sort of say to people, fat loss, if you lost half a pound a week, great, that's perfect. You're on track, you're making progress. There's nothing wrong with that. And same if you only put on half a pound when
Yeah,
you're trying to put on muscle, it's still progress, but
yeah,
people want results tomorrow and they want them overnight. It's the dream of that 6 month, even 12-month journey. It needs to be a lot more clearer, and they need to understand that it's going to take time. It's just not just as straightforward as sort of here's a meal plan, get on with it, and you'll be fine in 6 months' time. It takes a lot more than just a standard meal plan. Trying to find the calories, the time to work out, increasing the weight to almost sort of put your muscles under more tension to sort of build that muscle up a bit more. They're completely different problems, but the
yeah,
same sort of problem because they equally take as much time and planning for both.
yeah. I think sort of some people, when they want to do a muscle building phase, like you said, think it might be a little bit easier, and it might be for some people, but then again it comes back to that balance thing of not, like thinking you have to absolutely scoff food down and like eat in a huge surplus, but then it can be difficult going from a calorie deficit to a surplus. Even not even, I mean, mentally it can be difficult, but even just, I found it difficult going from a calorie deficit to, I thought I'd be like, oh my God, I can't wait to, eat more food. But then I actually struggle getting it in. It's really
Yeah.
difficult. So yeah, I do find that is another thing people find difficult. But you sort of have to think of your long-term goals, but break them down as well and do the same thing. Treat it as a fat loss phase if you've done that. The exact same thing, like monitoring your progress. You still have to monitor, see where you're heading, and focus on things like actually having energy to
Mm,
be able to, just having better sleep, more energy, to you end up moving around more, and training in the gym, just like being able to lift heavier and progress in the gym. Yeah, and again, comes down to balance, doesn't it?
yeah, and one thing exactly you just said there, more energy. That's that's key for whatever phase you decide to do or whatever your goal might be. Having that energy is so important. And people almost sort of say, "Well, I don't have. I'm so tired." And you almost when you break down their daily routine, there are by the time you've slept for 8 hours, you've done 8 hours of work. There's still sort of 8 hours that you can sort of try and fit something in apart from sitting there, because I mean we're all guilty of it, and we'll quite happily sit and binge watch a Netflix series till midnight and get up really early the next day and really struggle for the day. So it's almost
Yeah.
sort of trying to find, and exactly what you said earlier, doing what you enjoy. And if you
Mhm.
find that you actually enjoy it, you're going to find you're going to do that more, as opposed to sitting on the sofa where you're then going to maybe comfort eat in front of the TV, sit there up late watching Netflix, and then the next day you're going to struggle with energy. You're not going to be able to go to the gym. You're probably not going to eat well. You're going to go straight and just almost back to the sofa, back to comfort eating all the carbs, and not going to get out. You're not going to get any steps done. It all goes hand in hand. But energy is one of the ones that almost sort of starts with getting the basics and sort of getting that sleep, going to bed at a decent time, and getting a decent daily routine.
Mm. Also, I was just thinking, we've talked about fat loss and muscle building, but then I think for some people, even trying to maintain after a fat loss phase is difficult because we're just so everything is just fat loss, dieting, being lean. And for some people, they don't know where to go after they've done a fat loss phase. They might not want to muscle build. They might just want to maintain results. And that can be like really difficult mentally, because I think people think that they have to stay in a deficit to then maintain the results that they've just achieved. So muscle building, yeah, is difficult, but then I do think that maintenance is maybe a little bit harder for people to do and to stick to, because again, that panic sets in, doesn't it, when nothing might have changed, but maybe the just eating more calories is a little bit scary, or if they are still, stepping on the scales and it's going up because they're having more food volume, or more carbs, not necessarily putting on body fat, but even just seeing that, the panic sets in, and then it's like, oh, I've got to go back into a calorie deficit, and then this yo-yo diet and starts. So I think it's good for people to go through a maintenance phase.
Yep. Yeah.
And then when it comes to like muscle building, they might find it a little bit more comfortable adding more calories in and sort of seeing little changes. But I understand it, how it's such a difficult thing to do. It's quite scary if you've only been dieting for all of your life, but you just cannot do that.
No, and that's food's there.
Right.
Food's there to be enjoyed. You want to go out, you want to enjoy food, but it's like you said there, sort of being in that maintenance phase, and then you can almost it's easier to drop down into a fat loss phase or step it up into a calorie surplus phase, muscle building phase, because you've done the basics of sort of staying at maintenance. That's sort of some of the things I try and coach my clients with, is almost sort of like, you don't need to track necessarily every single day of what you eat. If you did 3 days, 2 days during the week and 1 at a weekend, and that's sort of an average, that's all you really need to do. And then if you do start finding you're going off track, whatever phase you're in, then you just go back to tracking your calories, put in what you think is right, and if you're over or under, then you can make adjustments going forward. It's not something that you have to do every single day religiously. It's there as a tool to help you either stay at maintenance, to lose fat, or to build muscle. But it's just there to help you. It's not something that you have to count calories for the rest of your life, because again, that's just as boring as not being able to eat chocolate as part of a balanced diet. You don't want to do that.
No, and again, that is literally the balance thing. Again, maintenance being the balance, and then having the other end of the scales to sort of like go to fat loss or go to muscle building, but having that balance of maintenance, so you can enjoy life and just have energy and do things you enjoy, and not have to live in one of these extremes all of your life.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Talking about tracking and things, this is a social media post that you shared. I was going to talk about the having unclear goals and not actually knowing the goals, what we were talking about in the beginning. When people come to us thinking their goals might be one thing, but then when we actually have a chat, you can tell that their goals are sort of, they might not know what their goals are, and they're not quite clear to them, which then makes it more difficult for us, because we don't know what the goals are, and so we can't really get someone to their goals if we don't know them. So that whole like helping people with goal setting, even before you start any sort of plans with people, and I do think clients might think when they come to you, they say, I want this, they think that you're going to go, okay, here it is, but really we're like, well, we're actually going to have like a little chat first. Let's talk about through some things and try this, try that. It's not ever going to be just, here is your set plan and that's all you have to do now. But yeah, people, or even with ourselves, we have to be honest with what we actually want. And I think at the minute, it's kind of like if we say we want to lose fat, for instance, I think some people might think, well, should I want to lose fat? Is that okay? Because is that like a naughty word
Yeah.
now? So just like getting rid of all of that, actually looking into what do you want, because it's so unhelpful if you're paying for someone to help you, and this is your goal here, but you're actually both going down this way, and you're never going to be happy. You're never going to get to this road. So like, yeah, the whole goal setting thing is just really, really important to do on your own or together with a coach, and being like really clear about what you want.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually screenshotted your post on on sort of setting the goals to bring up in this podcast. I've actually got it
Oh,
sitting here
amazing.
next to you, because that was one of the questions I was actually going to ask, but you've already answered it about setting the goals. Because yes, having realistic goals at the beginning of the plan is much so important, because it's very easy to almost sit there and go, right, I want to lose a stone. Okay, great. And that's all people sort of tend to have. It's almost sort of like, well, why do you want to lose that stone? How Go into a bit more detail about sort of how do your clothes feel now? How do you want them to feel? All sort of digging all these questions, actually sort of finding out exactly what it is they really want to get out of why they want to lose that stone. That might necessarily just because it's only because they've looked down at the scales and they think they should be a stone lighter than they already are. There's no maths of sort of they've gone
No.
almost plucked a number from the air and gone, I think I need to lose a stone. So
Yeah.
actually, yeah, going through and setting those realistic goals, whether they're daily, weekly, they make the bigger goal much easier to achieve. And almost sort of like we said at the beginning, getting the steps in, just doing that on a daily basis. It may be a really small thing to do, but it could be a big thing for someone to do. But just ticking that off on a daily basis is a very small goal to getting to the big goal, and celebrating those wins along the way is
Yeah.
huge as well. Almost sort of, because if you don't celebrate the small wins, once you get to the big win, it sort of doesn't comprehend to anything. It's not really, doesn't mean anything. So actually taking those small steps, making sure they're realistic, and just sort of getting to that main goal.
Yeah, definitely. This is an analogy that literally just come to my head, so I don't know if it's going to work, but
Go on, give it a go. I'm
I
ready for
found
this
out
one.
I found out yesterday that doing a jigsaw, every single time you get that one little piece right, you finally find it and it fits, it releases a massive amount of dopamine. So it's like a massive achievement, just that little bit. So if you're doing that with your goals, the little goals each day, and then you get to the jigsaw's full, then you're like, yes, I did it with all of these little tiny steps. I think that's a genius
That's brilliant. I love that. That's
analogy.
really good. That is. I really like that, and it does work. Yeah. Each of those small goal is a jigsaw puzzle,
Jigsaw
and your
piece.
big
Oh
I don't know,
God.
stone in weight loss or stone
Yeah.
in weight gain is the puzzle. And
Yeah.
yeah, once you complete that puzzle, you've got to
Yeah.
your goal.
Oh my God. Should
You've
do these
nailed
more
it.
often.
We should. Good. Well, see, I'm conscious of the time, and so I was just if there was one takeaway that you could give to people to almost sort of walk away from this podcast with, what would your main takeaway be for everyone?
I think the word of the day has been balance, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Finding with just everything, like your balance, not because people have said doing 10K steps or whatever, not sort of making yourself mold to that balance, finding your own. But there was one thing that I wanted to share, which is I was going to share as my sort of top tip or takeaway, which I forgot to mention, but it's one of my favorite things is adding the word yet to the end of a sentence, because I feel like how we talk to ourselves matters massively. And if we're saying to ourselves or to other people, I can't do this, I can't do 5,000 steps, if you just add on the end, I can't do 5,000 steps yet, then it gives you that sense of like hope. You might be able to do it in the future. Yeah, and then do, the goal setting and then put that in there.
And exactly, come back to jigsaw puzzle, you can almost sort of set the border as your 5,000 steps. So
Oh my
the
God,
bottom line becomes 1,000 steps, and
love
the
this.
side, and you almost then, once you've done the border, that is your
Yeah,
5,000 steps. There we go.
yeah. The
Balance and a
jigsaw
puzzle is
puzzle.
today's
Yeah, and
is
get a
today's takeaway.
jigsaw puzzle.
Maybe I'll stick to a small 4-piece for now. I don't think I can quite jump up to
Sophie.
a big one yet.
I love it. It's like the jigsaw puzzle of habits, like
Yeah.
daily habits and stuff.
I
Yeah.
think this has got legs, I think. I like this.
So
So, Stephanie, where can people find you? Where can everyone find you on social media?
all of my social media and website and everything is just my full name, which is really unfortunate that it's quite long, and that I've got an accent that makes it sound like it's spelt differently, but it's Stephanie Jane Rowden, just my whole name on across all social media.
Good, and I'll tag that in all the podcast channels that this goes out to as well.
Yeah, do a translation because when it comes to my middle name, everyone doesn't understand me.
That's fine. I'll put it all on there. Well, no, thank you so much for your time. It's been great having you on here, and
Thank you
hopefully
so much for having me.
we'll have you back again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been really nice.
Good. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and I will look forward to speaking to you all on the next one. Take care.